cold wind howled through the narrow streets of Nagasaki as a young boy named Kim Sin-rak walked barefoot on the rough ground. Born in 1924 in a poor Korean family, he had little to call his own. His people were struggling under Japanese rule, treated as inferiors, denied opportunities. But even as a child, Kim was different. He refused to accept defeat. From an early age, he knew he was strong, not just in body, but in mind. He would watch Japanese sumo wrestlers, giants of their sport, and tell himself, "One day I will stand among them." But Korea had little space for dreams, so as a teenager, he made a daring choice. He left for Japan, the very land that looked down on his people. Arriving in Japan, Kim took on a new name, Mitsuhiro Momota, later known as Rikidōzan. He hoped that in the world of sumo, his strength would speak louder than his origins. But he was wrong. No matter how much he trained, no matter how hard he fought, he was always seen as an outsider. They called him unworthy, refused to promote him, and reminded him that a Korean could never truly belong. At night, he would sit alone, staring at his bruised hands. The thought of returning to Korea as a failure haunted him, but giving up was never an option. If they would not accept him in sumo, he would find another way. One day, he discovered professional wrestling, a Western sport that had just begun to take root in Japan. Unlike sumo, wrestling had no centuries-old traditions barring outsiders. It was raw, intense, and unpredictable, the perfect place for a man with nothing to lose. With his powerful build and unmatched determination, he quickly became a rising star. But Japan was still recovering from World War II, and its people had lost hope. Their spirits were broken, their confidence shattered. That was when Rikidōzan saw an opportunity. He would become the hero Japan needed. Soon, Rikidōzan started fighting foreign wrestlers, massive Americans who were portrayed as unbeatable. The crowd watched in silence, expecting their countrymen to fall, just as Japan had fallen in the war. But then, something incredible happened. Rikidōzan didn't back down. He fought like a man possessed, refusing to let his opponent dominate him. And when he struck with his famous karate chop, sending the American giant crashing to the mat, the entire stadium erupted in cheers. For the first time in years, the Japanese people felt a spark of pride. Rikidōzan became more than a wrestler. He became a symbol of national strength and resilience. Match after match, Rikidōzan destroyed foreign opponents, proving that Japan was not weak, that they could still stand tall. But only a few knew the truth. He himself was not Japanese. The very people who cheered for him would have shunned him if they knew he was actually Korean. Did he ever feel conflicted? Did he ever want to reveal the truth? Perhaps. But in his heart, Rikidōzan was fighting for something bigger than nationality. He was fighting for respect, for dignity, for the right to rise above the limits placed on him. But success often comes at a cost. Rikidōzan became a celebrity, a businessman, and a larger-than-life figure. Yet, he surrounded himself with dangerous people, powerful men, criminals, those who saw him as a threat. One night, after an argument with a Yakuza gangster, he was stabbed. Even then, he refused to believe he was dying. Just like in the ring, he thought he could fight through it. But this was a battle he could not win. Within days, the warrior who had never backed down took his final breath. Though his life was cut short, his impact never faded. Rikidōzan inspired an entire generation of Japanese wrestlers, paving the way for professional wrestling to flourish in Japan. Even today, wrestlers honor his name, and his story remains one of perseverance, defiance, and victory against all odds. Moral of the story: true strength is not about where you come from, but how hard you fight for your dreams.